Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Tonight we're going to be looking at Daredevil number 215 through 217. Now, as you've noticed, there's a huge gap from when we last left off here. I believe it was Daredevil number 192. And the reason why is because even though I bought these all off the stands, Daredevil, like I said, was the comic I collected longer than any other comic, probably 10 years. A big chunk of my life, Daredevil accompanied me every month. Over the years, I got rid of a bunch of issues that just, after Frank Miller left, it just wasn't that great anymore. I did have issues 202 and up, all the way up to through the Born Again storyline, which we'll be looking at very soon. The past 2 days, I've been reading those issues, and I, after 25 years of not reading them, maybe longer, I was like, these aren't very good, and so I kicked them out of the Academy. So the one interesting thing about these issues is that we do get to see a young David Mazzucchelli start drawing. He's inked by Danny Bulandi, who kind of smothers his pencils. But it's interesting, issue to issue, you can see him getting better, even with Danny Bulandi smothering him. Just storytelling techniques and stuff. So by the time we're in 215, David Mazzucchelli's pretty much where, Born Again caliber of art. And there's some beautiful art in these. Unfortunately, ever since Frank Miller left, pretty much the main writer has been Denny O'Neil. And I gotta say, Denny O'Neil's writing in this is pretty substandard. It's very stiff, and I'm pretty sure it's because he was working under Jim Shooter. It seems like he took to heart all of Jim Shooter's tenets about writing. About you have to keep up the exposition. Every comic is a kid's first comic. They might not know what's going on, so it's really tiresome. Lots of word balloons with too much exposition, too much referencing shit. It's not very good. But these issues I am keeping just because it's mainly about David Mazzucchelli's art. And so we start off here with a very strange issue of Daredevil, number 215. Beautiful David Mazzucchelli cover here. I love this kind of sepia background, and of course we're gonna see a lot of that. Guys, look at this. For a mainstream newsprint comic, this is just a beautiful effect. This kind of sepia craft tinted, whatever they call it, this just really looks good. We start off, it's called Prophecy. Denny O'Neil's the writer, David Mazzucchelli penciling and inking. That's a huge difference. Pretty much just the issue before this, David Mazzucchelli started inking his own pencils. And oh man, the difference from, Danny Bulandi inking them to this is incredible. So as you can see, this is pretty stellar stuff. Joe Rosen's still the penciler, still the letterer though. So he's been a mainstay. So we see this old Indian shaman, and he's telling of how two men will come 100 years apart, both with red hair, and they will both be men of the law. And both of them, even though they're separated by 100 years, will help return the land to its rightful owners, the Native Americans. God, that's a great page. So look at this. I love this, how there's just all these pages, these flashback pages, in this beautiful sepia kind of style. So we start off in Arizona in I guess the 1880s, and we see the Two-Gun Kid. And this is interesting that Denny O'Neil made this connection, because the Two-Gun Kid was a classic Marvel Western character. He was a lawyer, and he also would then put on a mask and fight crime as the Two-Gun Kid. He has red hair, and just the fact that he's a lawyer, very similar. He's almost like the Daredevil of the Old West. So he's riding around in the desert on his faithful steed, Thunder, and he sees these ranch hands, these white guys, harassing these two Apaches. Two Gun Kid scares them off. One of them is killed, is already dead, one of the Apaches, and the other one basically tells them what's up. He said they were trying to get our map. Apparently, President Chester A. Arthur wrote a letter, a proclamation, saying that this land will always be the Apaches, now and forevermore. The soldier delivering this letter has gone AWOL. He buried this letter, and of course, if the Apaches can find it, they can take it to the governor and say, hey, back off. Look, the president himself said it's our land. But of course, in the meantime, this greedy white guy is just like, oh, it's our land. So this kid really wants to find this paper. So he's got this map, and Two Gun Kid says he's going to help him out. I'm kind of stalling just because I just want to savor every page here. This is really annoying that there's ads in comics when you see stuff like this. This is very jarring, this page. So now we meet the bad guy. Well, first, Two Gun Kid changes into his alter ego. I think his name's Matt Hawk or something. Yeah, I think his name is Matt, too. And we meet the bad guy. His name's, I'll get his name in a second. You can tell just by the way he's drawn, he's the bad guy. That's a great caricature, though. It doesn't look like something from a Marvel comic. That's just really good drawing. Oh, so it's Mr. Kino. And actually, Matt Hawk is prosecuting him for this incident. He keeps lying during his testimony, so the judge throws it out of court. Matt Hawk has a weird thought. He says, someday the trial procedure will be a whole lot more complicated. A judge won't be able to dismiss a case so easily. Now, why do I think that? We'll find out. So now him, Two Gun Kid, and the Apache kid, the little Apache youngster, they follow the map, and they find this cave. God, this looks so good. It's amazing art. And all of a sudden, somebody throws a stick of dynamite in the mine. There's a cave in. They're trapped. But the flickering candle tells Matt, Two Gun Kid, that there's another exit. So they find it. And Two Gun Kid gets to sneak around Greedo and his men. Greedo. God damn it. What's his name? Kino. Mr. Kino. I love that panel. Look how cool Two Gun Kid looks. I remember buying this comic, when it came out, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Why am I reading a Western in Daredevil? So Kino and his men, Two Gun Kid takes him out. And Kino said, oh, you're a traitor to white folks, siding with the Redskins. So they don't find the note. But then that old Indian shaman says it will be found. And he says the prophecy again that he says on the first page. God, look at that. Amazing illustrative stuff. This is so good. So it turns out this is Matt Murdock. Daredevil is dreaming all of this. He's like, oh, what a strange dream. It was very specific. I read about the Two Gun Kid. I don't even know if he's a fact or fiction, but so he's a little off kilter. And he goes to the law offices of Nelson and Murdoch. There's a little backstory here. Foggy is in a bad way. In the past 12 issues, his wife cheated on him. It's a very long story, and now they're separated, And Foggy's very sad. He's kind of living out of his office. He got kicked out of his apartment. And so this guy comes in to their office. Oh, also because of the actions of Foggy, they have no business. He did some shenanigans, and their name is Mud in the law community in New York City at the time. But they finally get a client, this guy from Arizona named Mr. Kino. Obviously his like great-grandson or something. Now he is just like his old, his great-grandfather. He wants to build a nuclear reactor on some land. Some Native American groups are saying, no, that's our land. And he wants to hire them to represent him. Matt tells Foggy, says, I got to go to Arizona. And Foggy's like, that's crazy. You can just do research at the library, law library. He's like, no, I really need to do this. Because of the dream he had, he's compelled. So he flies out to Arizona. I noticed that Mazzucchelli, he loves to do the up the nostril shot that Gil Kane perfected. There's a lot of these shots, even though it doesn't look like Gil Kane style at all, but he really likes the up the nostril shot. So when he lands, he's greeted by this Native American kid. His name's Timmy Red Moon. He says, hey, can I give you a ride? And he's like, how did you know who I am and that I was going to arrive here? It's like, yeah, my sister works at the hotel where you booked your reservation. I know why you're here. I know that Kino hired you. But I was hoping I could try to set you straight. You're on the wrong side of this fight. Kino's a piece of shit. He's going to ruin the land. He's going to poison all the waters with this nuclear reactor. And he's just a bad guy all around. Matt Murdock says, hey, I'm a lawyer. I got to represent my client's interests. So then, just like kind of echoing 100 years ago, Matt hears a scuffle outside. These two goons are beating the shit out of Timmy Red Moon. Daredevil stops them, saves Timmy, and Daredevil is now convinced. He's all like, nuts to my responsibilities as a lawyer. My client is a rat, and I'm about to play rat catcher. So it turns out Timmy Red Moon has that old map. What Two Gun Kid didn't realize, because he doesn't have super senses like a Daredevil, is there's like a kind of imprint on the map. So they were looking in the wrong spot. Daredevil can read these imprints in this piece of leather, and now they're going to go search for the real, that piece of paper the president signed. Apparently, Kino's got a tracker on Timmy Red Moon's truck. Man, he draws him so repulsive. He's such a ugly-looking motherfucker. He's evil. In comic books, someone that ugly has to be bad. So Daredevil leads him to this rock next to the cave where Two Gun Kid and that Apache kid looked 100 years ago. They find a box and the proclamation is in there. And then right then, they're attacked by gunmen. Of course, it's Kino and his men. Kino's got hand grenades. He blows up their truck. They run into the cave to escape the gunfire, and then he throws a hand grenade into the cave. And once again, there's a cave-in. And Daredevil remembers the dream. So he's like, oh, I gotta find that passageway. And he does, but now things have changed due to Kino's, fucking around with all the local environment. He built a dam in the area. The cave is now full of water. And he remembers that the Indian said something about in air and in water they will triumph. So Daredevil says, I gotta dive in this water. I gotta find the exit. And it's brutal. It's like that scene in the Poseidon Adventure where he's just like, I don't know if I can make it, but I gotta keep swimming. I gotta find the other side. And apparently he does, because he comes up behind Kino and his men, takes him out, and there was when he was in the cave, he found a bullet lodged in the wall, somehow unrested, even though it was in wet stone all these years. And it's a message from Two Gun Kid just saying howdy. I forgot to mention this, but Two Gun Kid had another premonition when he was in the cave, and he said, I don't know why, but I want to leave a message here. I don't know for who or for when. So that's the message. And now Daredevil looks up at this, we see that sepia again, as we see the Two Gun Kid and these old Apaches in the clouds of the sky. Kind of corny ending, but it's quite beautiful the way it's drawn. So it's really interesting seeing David Mazzucchelli within, this is about 10 issues away from, even less, from Born Again, when he really hit his stride. But we can definitely see the progress here. Number 216, another cover by Mazzucchelli. I love this Eisner homage, Will Eisner homage. Really fun. You didn't see this often, with a Marvel comic. Great cover. And this is the villain in here is the Gale, who those issues that I just kicked out of the Academy. He was introduced. He's an IRA, ex-IRA terrorist. He's basically just a psychopath, where he just liked killing people. So he's a full-on like serial killer. And there was a bunch of issues where Daredevil fought him. Yada, yada, yada. So this one's called The Second Secret. Same creative team. Luckily, Mazzucchelli's inking his pencils again. So we start off, we see these prison guards are delivering a prisoner to the hospital. I guess he's got his head caught in a pressing machine. I guess they didn't have the good enough medicine at the prison infirmary. His injuries are so serious that they take him to the hospital. Turns out the guy is conscious. He kills the doctor, kills the 2 prison guards, and kills the nurse. Look at that face there. That's really good. Now we cut away to Nelson and Murdoch. And I guess Franklin Foggy is reading about this story. The mayor's very angry because this prisoner escaped. Man, the editor, Ralph Macchio, I've never seen an editor put so much of these explanations of things, the asterisks. Usually they're just quick things like, as seen in number 214. These are just like paragraphs. So Foggy's talking to Becky, their legal secretary, and talking about his problems with his wife and all that. Now we cut away to Matt with his girlfriend, Gloriana. She's an Irish woman. Now, that was another character introduced in the past 12 issues. She's, the Gale was trying to kill her. Her, because she's from Ireland, I think her father was in the IRA. The Gale thinks that she has, too much information about him. So he's been trying to kill her, but luckily he's been in prison. They're in Chinatown. Look at this great woman in the foreground here, this Asian woman. It's beautiful stuff. This just looks like really classic cartooning to me, like something from the 40s or 50s. Like Stan Drake or, one of those guys. So this is just kind of repulsive, their cutesy dialogue. It's, Denny O'Neil's not very good at this dialogue business. Now we cut away to the Kingpin. And I guess Kingpin and Daredevil had a minor alliance against this bad guy, to their mutual benefit. But now, of course, they're at each other's throats again. And Daredevil has vowed to double his efforts to take out the Kingpin. That's a great panel there with the Zipatone. So now Daredevil is trying to find a lead to lead him to Gale. It's Gael, by the way. I think that's how you pronounce it, Gale. And there's another villain named Crossbow who was introduced. He was supposed to, whatever, he's somehow tied up with Gale. Crossbow's English. So Daredevil figures if he can find him, he can get to Gale. Mazzucchelli, when he was younger, he was really good at this, this kind of stop motion flash effect of capturing bodies in motion. Whatever you call that. Kind of like, it's like trails when you're on LSD, He does a lot of really good ones throughout these comics. So here's Crossbow. A very forgettable character. I don't think anyone ever used him again. So Daredevil captures him, and he basically gets the information he needs. Apparently the IRA have this contact who every week meets at a restaurant from 6 to 7, the old woman of Bear. And she's kind of like helps IRA guys get out of the country if they need to. Daredevil goes to Glory. Why do I keep saying Gloriana? Maybe it's just Glory. I don't know where Gloriana came from. Let's just call her Glory for now. He goes to her apartment. She's not coming home. And he's like, where is she? Where could she be? Look at all these faces. He's trying to make this boring sequence interesting. All these different angles. Another up nostril shot. And now we cut away to this Irish family. They're actually talking about Gale. And they're eating dinner. And all of a sudden, they're like, ah! And the Gale comes in. I guess he poisoned their food with this poison that just paralyzes you. He says, I could just let you, sit here and die. But that wouldn't be any fun. Because he really is a psycho. So he gets pleasure from killing people. So he, one by one, as they're paralyzed, he kills them. Interesting looking art on that page. So now here's that restaurant where the old woman of Bear hangs out. She wears this veil. So Daredevil goes to this place, and all these guys are at the bar, just kind of nursing their drinks, it looks like. And Daredevil sits down, and the old woman of Bear is like, here, have a beer. He's like, I don't drink. Here, have some water. Really trying to push some liquid on him. And Daredevil he knows what's going on. He says, those guys at the bar, they're dead, aren't they? And it's the Gale. He's like, yep, I killed them. So he attacks Daredevil with a knife. Daredevil throws him on the floor. He's all scarred from the last time they met. Sorry, from that prison incident. Let me just say. We get a little fight scene here. God, look at that Gene Colan business going on here. I guess the old woman of Bear actually shows up. This woman was in the back room. The Gale basically, captured her, took her dress and her veil so he could trick Daredevil. This woman escapes and runs out the door. She's got this IRA guy, basically waiting as a security guard. She's like, the guy behind me, shoot him. They're after me. And he does. He almost kills Daredevil. I love this, how his body's all jerking around, trying to escape the bullets, while succeeding. And then he knocks the guy out, chases after this woman, and it turns out it's Glory, his Yeah, even though I'm trying to like fill you in on this backstory, what's happened the past like 12 issues, it's not very interesting. So if you're like, oh man, we missed all that shit, it wasn't fun to read. That's why I'm kicking him out. Like I said, haven't read him in 30 years. I kind of liked him when I was 16. I thought they were great. Now I'm just like, oh, this writing is ponderous. And other than some an issue here or there where Mazzucchelli gets to ink his own pencils, I think actually just one. There was one that was like, oh, maybe I should save this for the art. But it was just the last chapter of this long story. I was like, the story's so bad. What a way to start off number 217. Look at this beautiful Barry Windsor Smith cover. This is like when Barry Windsor Smith was just coming back to comics for the first time in like 10 years. And all of a sudden he started doing stuff for Marvel again with a totally different style than he used to draw. And doing his own colors too. I'm guessing this is his colors because this looks like that Weapon X, the beautiful, it's almost like a candy-coated coloring. God, what a great cover. Just the way their bodies are intermingling. So this one's called The Sight Stealer. One day in New York City, like a whole city block, everyone is blind. That's pretty nice. Nice art. And nobody knows what the hell's going on. Meanwhile, we cut away to where we left off last issue. Daredevil's talking to Glory. He's like, you're in the IRA? And she's like, I've never killed anyone. I'm not part of that part of the IRA. I'm just basically a travel agent, and I help IRA agents get out of the country. We've been fighting this noble battle for a long time. It's not like we're all terrorists or whatever. So Daredevil's got to think about it. He's just like, I don't know about this. Look at these fucking editor notes. Oh, sorry, this one. They're huge. So he goes back to the bar, and the gala's gone. He thought he hit him hard enough. Oh, her name is Gloriana. Okay, I didn't make that out. It's weird, though. Like, look at this panel here. This looks like, I don't know, something from an Atlas Seaboard comic. Like some hack. Some, like, a fanzine artist from the 70s. He's still not quite there. He's almost there. Look at this great cityscape. Really, like, chunky, black and white. I guess, chiaroscuro almost, That's a pretty beautiful shot, too. Daredevil running along the Brooklyn Bridge, or one of the bridges in New York City, I don't know. So, of course, he's thinking about this. Oh, I can't end up being in love with an evil woman again, like Elektra. Another interlude with Foggy and Becky. Now we cut away. A whole other city street is now blind. Daredevil shows up. He can sense their panic, hear their heartbeats, and we see nearby. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mention. Daredevil was heading over to Black Widow to ask for her help. She's linked to a lot of, terrorist organizations, and she's in the espionage world. He was going to ask her about Gloriana, if she has done anything, any misdeeds. And that's where all these people are blind. So he's like, oh, maybe they're trying to get to Black Widow. So we see Black Widow in her apartment. She is blind. And we see the guy who did it. This guy called the Cossack. She knows him from Russia. He throws her out the window. She lands in the river. And there's like barrels in the river. I guess New York has a lot of pollution. There's just barrels floating in the river. And she conks her head. It really seems like this should be fatal. Falling from 20 stories and bashing her head in a steel barrel. So she's not dead, though. She falls in the water. She would be dead if Daredevil didn't dive in and rescue her. So he's talking to her. Black Widow says, hey, if my sight never returns, will you teach me like Stick taught you? Teach me how to still be able to, fight, even though I'm blind. So I guess the Cossack has this fucking sci-fi device that makes people go blind. I feel like this is a swipe of a Frank Miller panel. I feel like Black Widow was in the same exact position in that issue, I don't know, like 188 or something that he drew. It's David Mazzucchelli. You probably know, of course, he totally changed his style. Started writing really good stories, like more arty stuff, and pretty much turned his back on genre comics. But it's kind of a shame because he was a really damn good, superhero / genre artist. I wish there was two of them. I wish there was like he could split himself up. But I mean, I definitely prefer his new, post-rubber blanket stuff. I love that stuff. But this is pretty sharp. This is pretty, especially for like comics of the time, mainstream comics. He definitely had a unique, distinct style, which a lot of guys didn't at the time. They were just kind of like Marvel hacks, So here's an example of the over-explanation. He goes to see if Natasha's in, and Daredevil, instead of just saying, she's not here, he over-explains it. No heat from light bulbs, no movement, no noise or vibration from clock and appliance motors, faint smell of mothballs in the air. She took her clothes from the closet and she abandoned the apartment. He couldn't just say that. He has to tell you everything that Matt surmises. It's just a little much. Just because he does it constantly. And I'm sorry, guys. This is Gloriana's apartment, I meant to say. And apparently she left a note, Daredevil. Because Daredevil said that he would meet Gloriana. She doesn't know he's Daredevil, but, when he saved her, he said, I'll meet you. I'll protect you from this guy, Gale. She left a note saying, Daredevil, you'll think me guilty, but if I stay in America, the Gale will find me. So she's heading off on a flight that night. And Daredevil knows that the Cossack's going to strike again. And he mentions something like, like terror will rain down on the streets of New York from the sky. And he realizes, oh my God, that's where the Cossack's going to strike. He's going to take his blind making transmitter to the airport. And then all the pilots and the air traffic controllers will be blind and all the planes will fly, drop out of the sky. So not only is he going to try to intercept Gloriana, hopefully he'll run into her, but mainly he's going to try to stop Cossack. And he's exactly right. Cossack is there with his goons. They've got these devices so they don't go blind. They're wearing their skulls. And also the Gale is there. The Gale finds Gloriana before she gets on her plane, takes her into this room. He's going to kill her. And then all of a sudden he says, my eyes. So the thing has been activated. Gale is blind. We cut back to the Cossack. We see all these blind people. But I guess he hasn't, aimed it at the skies yet for all the, airplanes. Daredevil finds the goons, pretends that he's blind. Well, he is blind, but he pretends he's a normal blind person. And to sneak up on him, and then he beats the shit out of him. This art all of a sudden gets very, Marvel hacky. This looks, really bad to me. Maybe he was rushed on this issue, I don't know. Or maybe he just didn't like this Cossack character so much. It was so silly that he was just like, oh God, I can't take this seriously. So Daredevil attacks the Cossack. Here's another one of those trails things. Stop motion or whatever you call it. Here's Gloriana. Gloriana's stumbling around. She's blind too. He's distracted by that. The Cossack attacks Daredevil, but then Daredevil takes him out. He finds Gloriana. He says, it'll be okay, Mrs. O'Brien. And the Gale comes stumbling around blind with a knife, just like, I'll find you and kill you slow, I will. But, of course, Daredevil takes care of him. So, all the planes land safely, the passengers have no clue what the fate they just escaped. And then Daredevil goes to see Natasha, and apparently her sight's back. She did make some calls. It turns out Gloriana is the soul of innocence. She never committed any terrorist acts. And that's the end. I gotta say, Denny O'Neil also is really bad at ending stories. Almost every last panel, I'm just like, huh? That's it? Like, it's just kind of this fizzly ending. So there you go, guys. Not the best issues of Daredevil story-wise, but man, some interesting art, especially this Western one. I highly recommend this issue if you don't have, I'm sure it's cheap as hell. Nobody gives a shit about this era of Daredevil, I don't think, because this is before Ann Nocenti started writing and John Romita Jr. started drawing. And so there's this like post-Miller, pre-Nocenti era, well, of course, Born Again, other than Born Again, that is kind of forgotten. And like I said, all these characters, the Gale, Crossbow, Gloriana, it's kind of like they've been relegated to the dustbins of Marvel history. But, yeah, basically I'm keeping these for the art. It's interesting. I find it fascinating to see Mazzucchelli become, the master that he became. And then, of course, he totally changed from that. But, yeah, I guess that's all I got to say. It gets better, guys. Trust me. There's a few issues of this interim period, but pretty soon we're getting to Born Again. We're getting to some other Frank Miller shenanigans. He does some one-shots in the next episode, and things get better. And Mazzucchelli's art just keeps getting better. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.